Hello friends, in this video we are going to get familiar with Annex 6 of MARPOL, which is regulation for the prevention of air pollution from ships. We'll be discussing some important factors causing air pollution from ships and the regulations which have been set to control this pollution and protect the environment. So let's get started. MARPOL Annex 6 entered into force on 19th of May 2005. So how is this air pollution caused? The primary and foremost reason of pollution from ships is combustion of fuel. When the fuel burns, it produces exhaust gas, which causes air pollution. This exhaust gas contains substances such as sulfur oxide, nitrogen oxide, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, particulate matter, which are all harmful to the marine environment. Also, volatile organic compounds and some ozone depleting substances are released during normal operation of the ship. So there are certain rules and regulations which are given under Annex 6 to control and reduce the emission of these substances. Before discussing them, let me tell you the effects of emission of these substances in the environment. The first adverse effect is acid rain. These substances, when suspended in the air, evaporate with the water vapor and cause acid rain. Acid rain reduces the fertility of the soil, which leads to loss of flora and fauna. It also deteriorates the human health. It causes respiratory issues in humans and also affects the cardiovascular health. Next, it causes ozone depletion. As you all know, ozone layer protects us from harmful UV rays of the sun. Substances like chlorofluorocarbon cause ozone depletion. And last but not the least is global warming. I don't need to explain what global warming is doing to the earth. Melting of glaciers, temperature rising and whatnot. So first, let's discuss about the ozone depleting substances, which is Regulation 12 under MARPOL Annex 6. As the name suggests, the ozone depleting substances cause the depletion of ozone layer. Few of the ozone depleting substances you can see here are chlorofluorocarbons, hydrochlorofluorocarbons, and halogens. Chlorofluorocarbons are widely used as coolants in refrigeration and air conditioner systems, and it is found that hydrochlorofluorocarbon have a shorter lifetime than the chlorofluorocarbon, and halogens are gases containing bromine which breaks down ozone in the atmosphere. So what are the regulations which have been set to control the emission of ozone depleting substances? As per MARPOL Annex 6, any deliberate emissions of ozone depleting substances shall be prohibited. Deliberate emissions mean emission occurring during maintaining, repairing, or servicing of system or equipments. The next one is installations which contain ozone depleting substances other than hydrochlorofluorocarbons shall be prohibited on ships constructed on or after 19th May 2005. As I already told you, hydrochlorofluorocarbon has a shorter lifetime than chlorofluorocarbon. In other words, we can also say HCFCs are less harmful than CFCs. But this does not mean that HCFC does not cause any harm to the environment. That is why the next regulation has been set for the control of HCFC as well. So installation which contains HCFC shall be prohibited on ships constructed on or after 1st January 2020. Next, we'll be looking into NOx. NOx are nitrogenous oxides which include nitrogen oxide, nitrogen dioxide and other oxides of nitrogen. The major source of NOx emissions are high temperature combustion process. These nitrogenous oxides contribute to the formation of acid rain. So let us see to which ships NOx regulations apply to. NOx regulation apply to each marine diesel engine with a powerful output of more than 130 kilowatts installed on ships. It also applies to each marine diesel engine with a powerful output of more than 130 kilowatt which undergoes a major conversion on or after 1st January 2000. Next thing is the NOx emission control area. These are certain sea areas where there are more stringent regulations for control of emission of NOx. First is the North American Emission Control Area, the United States Caribbean Sea Emission Control Area, the Baltic Sea Emission Control Area, the North Sea Emission Control Area. The last two that you see in blue are for ships constructed on or after 1st January 2021. This is the table for NOx emission limits. This table is divided into three tiers, Tier 1, Tier 2 and Tier 3 as per the construction date of the ship, and the NOx emission limits are given in gram per kilowatt hour. This N which you can see here stands for engine RPM. Now first look at Tier 1. Tier 1 applies to ships constructed on or after 1st January 2000. When engine RPM is less than 130, then NOx emission limit is 17 gram per kilowatt hour. If engine RPM is between 130 to 1999, then there is a formula given for calculating the emission limit, which is 45 into n to the power minus 0.2. And when the engine RPM is 2000 or more, then the emission limit is 9.8 gram per kilowatt hour. Likewise, Tier 2 applies to ships constructed on or after 1st January 2011. So for engines with RPM less than 130, the NOx emission limit is 14.4 gram per kilowatt hour. For engines with RPM 130 to 1999, the formula is 44 into engine RPM to the power minus 0.23, and for RPM of 2000 or more, emission limit is 7.7 gram per kilowatt hour. Tier 3 regulations apply to ships constructed on or after 1st January 2016, which are operating in a dedicated NOx emission control area. So as you can see, the emission limit has been further reduced from 14.4 to 3.4 gram per kilowatt hour, and for RPMs 2000 or more, it is 2.0 gram per kilowatt hour. So as you can see in this table, NOx emission limits are reducing as you go down in the table. This clearly shows that a lot of steps are being taken to reduce the NOx emissions from ships. Next up is SOx or sulfur oxide. Sulfur oxide gases are formed when fuel containing sulfur is burnt. The main sulfur oxide gas is a colorless, non-flammable gas with a penetrating odor that irritates the eyes and air passage. The SOx and particulate matter emission control applies to your fuel oils, combustion equipment which are present on board, including your main engines, auxiliary engines, together with boilers as well as inert gas generators. Now let us look at the SOx emission control areas: the North American Emission Control Area, the United States Caribbean Sea Emission Control Area, the Baltic Sea Emission Control Area, and the North Sea Emission Control Area. You must have noticed that SOx and NOx emission control areas are the same now. It is because of the two new areas which have been added in NOx emission control areas, as you have seen earlier. Now let us look at the SOx emission limits. The left column is for ships outside an ECA, and the right column is for ships which are inside a SOx emission control area. So first let us look at the left part when the ship is outside an ECA. Before 1st January 2012, the sulfur emission limits were 4.50% mass by mass. After 1st January 2012, these limits were reduced to 3.50% mass by mass. And after 1st January 2020, these limits are further reduced to 0.5% mass by mass. Now this side is for ships which are inside a sulfur emission control area. Before 1st July 2010, the sulfur emission limits were 1.5% mass by mass. After 1st July 2010, the reduced limits were 1% mass by mass. And after 1st January 2015, the sulfur emission limits were further reduced to 0.1% mass by mass. So as you can clearly see, the SOx emission regulations are becoming more stringent as the time passes by. So there are commonly two ways by which ships reduce their SOx emissions to comply with these set regulations. First is changeover of fuel. Before entering SOx emission control area, ships change over their fuel oil which they are presently using to a lower sulfur fuel oil to comply with the emission limits in an ECA. Another way to reduce sulfur emissions is the exhaust gas cleaning system, or commonly known as the scrubber. As the name suggests, the exhaust gas cleaning system cleans the exhaust gases produced after combustion of fuel and therefore reduce the sulfur content in it. Next thing that we are going to discuss about is the volatile organic compound. VOCs or volatile organic compounds are organic chemicals that easily vaporize at room temperature. This regulation only applies to tankers and also gas carriers only if the type of loading and containment system allows safe retention of VOCs on board or their safe return ashore. These volatile organic compounds are generated during combustion, but mainly on ships. Its main source is during handling of oil products. VOC emissions occur during loading of liquid cargo in oil tankers in the form of hydrocarbons. Also during voyage, additional gas may be released from the cargo which is loaded and therefore emitting VOCs. So there are certain steps which are taken to reduce these VOC emissions on board. To reduce the volatile organic compound emissions on board, a vapor emission control system is installed on ships as well as the terminals, and ship and terminals work in accordance with the standards set for the vapor emission control system. Also, it is required that crude oil tankers shall have a approved VOC management plan which is ship specific. Now moving on to IAPPC. IAPPC stands for International Air Pollution Prevention Certificate. All ships of 400 gross tonnage and above, every fixed or floating platform and drilling rig shall be issued with an International Air Pollution Prevention Certificate. It is issued by the administration after an initial or renewal survey. In addition to the regulations that we have discussed till now, there are some energy efficiency regulations which have been set up to promote sustainable shipping. The EEDI or the Energy Efficiency Design Index reflects the amount of CO2 which is generated per ton mile. It aims at promoting the use of more energy efficiency equipment and engines. Next is SEEMP, which is the Ship Energy Efficiency Management Plan. The SEEMP is a system which is established to improve the energy efficiency of a vessel in a cost-effective manner. Next thing is International Energy Efficiency Certificate. The IEEC is a certificate which covers both the SEEMP and the EEDI. This certificate is valid for the life of ship unless the ship undergoes a major conversion, a change of flag, or it is withdrawal from its service. By this we come to an end. I hope this video helps you in many ways. Please like the video if you found it useful, share it with your friends, and do hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to never miss a new informative video from our channel.